Let's read this one.
Tenere. For the motorcycles, see list of Yamaha motorcycles. Not to be confused with Tenerife. The Tenere, Tuareg, Tenere, literally, desert, is a desert region in south-central Sahara. It comprises a vast plain of sand stretching from northeastern Niger into western Chad, occupying an area of over 400,000 square kilometers, 150,000 square mi. The Tenere's boundaries are said to be the Air Mountains in the west, the Hoggar Mountains in the north, the Jado Plateau in the northeast, the Tibesti Mountains in the east, and the basin of Lake Chad in the south. The central part of the desert, the Urdu Bilma, is centered at approximately 17°35 and 10°55 E. It is the locus of the Neolithic Tenerean culture. Name, edit. The name Tenere comes from the Tuareg language, meaning desert, in much the same way that the Arabic word for desert, Sahara, came to be applied to the region as a whole. Climate, edit. The Tenere has a hot desert climate, Köppen climate classification BWH, typical of the large Sahara Desert. The climate is hyper-arid, extremely hot, sunny and dry year-round, and there is virtually no plant life. The average high temperatures are above 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 5 months and more in the hottest regions, and record high temperatures as high as 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit, are highly possible during summer. The annual average high temperature is around 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and even more. During winter months, the average high temperatures stay above 25 degrees Celsius, 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and generally hover around 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The annual precipitation amount is extremely low, one of the lowest annual rainfall amounts found on Earth, around 10 millimeters, 0.39 in, to 15 millimeters, 0.59 in, and frequently several years may pass without seeing any rainfall at all. Water is notoriously difficult to find, even underground, and wells may be hundreds of miles apart. The sunshine duration is also one of the highest results on the planet at around 4,000 hours, that is about 91% of the daylight hours between sunrise and sunset. This part of the Sahara Desert has one of the harshest climates in the world. According to a NASA study, the sunniest spot in the world would be a ruined fort in Agadir in the southeastern Tenere, and has even clearer skies than the polar deserts overall. The Tenere, as well as the rest of the Great Desert, are amongst the most extreme environments on Earth. Topography, edit. Fragment of Tenere's dune seas seen from space. Most of the Tenere is a flat basin, once the bed of the prehistoric Lake Chad. In the north, the Tenere is a vast sand sheet, the true, featureless Tenere of legend, reaching up to the low hills of the Tassilai du Hoggar along the Algerian border. In the center, the Bilma Erg forms rows of easily navigable low dunes whose corridors make regular byways for the Azalai or salt caravans. To the west, the Air Mountains rise up. To the southeast, the Tenere is bordered by the Kauyur Cliffs running 100 kilometers north to south. At the base, lies a string of oases including the famous Bilma. Periodic outcrops, such as the unusual Marble Blue Mountains in the northwest near Adrachayarayat, or the Agram Hills near the oasis of Fachi and Adramadit to the north, are rare but notable landmarks. History, edit. During the Carboniferous period, the region was beneath the sea, later it was a tropical forest. A major dinosaur cemetery lies southeast of Agadez at Gaddafawa. Many fossils have been found there, having eroded out from the ground. An almost complete specimen of the crocodile-like reptile Sarcosuchus imperator, nicknamed the supercroc, was discovered there by paleontologists. During early human history, this was a fertile land much more congenial to human life than it is now. The region was inhabited by modern humans as long ago as the Paleolithic period, some 60,000 years ago. They hunted wild animals and left evidence of their presence in the form of stone tools, including tiny, finely carved arrowheads. During the Neolithic period about 10,000 years ago, ancient hunters, the early Holocene Kiphian people, created rock engravings and cave paintings that can still be found across the region. The Neolithic subpluvial was an extended meteorological period, from about 7,500 to 7,000 BC to about 3,500 to 3,000 BC, of relatively wet and rainy conditions in the climate history of northern Africa. It was both preceded and followed by much drier periods. Several archaeological sites that date from this time, often identified as part of the Tenerean culture, are dotted across the deserts along the borders of Niger, Algeria and Libya. The human population dwindled as the Sahara dried out, and by 2500 BC, it had largely become as dry as it is today. In recent times, Tenere has been a crossing route for African migrants looking to immigrate to Europe. Population, edit. The Tenere is very sparsely populated. Fachi and Bilma are the only settlements that are not on the edge of the Tenere. While the well-known Tuareg occupy the Air Mountains and Agadez to the west, and still operate the sold caravans for Hausa merchants, other inhabitants of the Tenere, found from oases like Fachi eastwards, are the non-Berber Kanuri and Tuba, the latter thought to be descended from among the original inhabitants of the Sahara. Governance, edit. In 1960, the Tuareg territory became part of the independent Republic of Niger. It has been divided into 7 departments. The central part of the Tenere is a protected area, under the auspices of the Air and Tenere Natural Reserve. Cities, edit. The administrative center of the Tenere is the town of Agadez, south of the Air Mountains and west of the Tenere. There are also various oasis settlements, some like Bilma and Setwaydin based on salt production. Settlements and villages of Tenere. 1 Fachi, 2 Ichega, Do. 3 Bilma, 4 Durku, 5 Chifa, Do. 6 Agadam, Do. 7 Setwaydin. Landmarks, edit. The desert is also known for the celebrated tree of Tenere, once thought to be among the most remote in the world. Situated by the last well before entering the Grand Erg du Bilma on the way to Fachi, salt caravans relied on the tree as a landmark until it was allegedly knocked down by a truck driver in 1973. It was replaced by a metal sculpture and the remains are enshrined at the museum in Niamey, capital of Niger. New trees were planted but, because of the very low water table, the adjacent well is some 40 m deep. Irregular watering by passing travelers saw them fail to survive. Despite this unfortunate mishap, the tree is still often indicated on maps of the region as a notable landmark, as is the less well-known Arbre Perdu, lost tree, situated in the true Tenere to the north, west of Chifa. A monument to UTA Flight 772, a 200-foot diameter circle of dark stones and 170 broken mirrors which represent each victim of the 1989 terrorist attack which brought down the aircraft, was built in May and June 2007 at 16°5153 and 11°5713. View, edit. Annotated view. Inset of the above image. See also, edit. 1 Air and Tenere National Nature Reserve. 2 Germa. 3 Green Sahara. 4. The Tenere motorbike. 5 missions for Tenere. References, edit.